if you haven't already, please be sure to join our Discord. That's where we post upcoming events, those dates and times, and we also just converse a lot via that server as well. So if you haven't already, that was the link before. So we're excited to have you here because we're testing out a new program that our IT Spark Dev team has been working on. So this is a new process that we'll be using to check in and measure engagement over time. So you guys get to all participate and help us work out the kinks with this. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have you all go to this link right here, which is here.fiu.edu. And I'll also put it in the chat and I'll walk you through this whole process. Also, this works a lot better if you do this through your mobile phone, since you will have to allow it to access the camera. So whatever browser you prefer to use, Safari, Chrome on your like cell phone, go ahead and do that. So here.fiu.edu. And then you should be presented with this first screen right here. So the statue of a panther, and here, you're gonna click that and you'll be brought, before you're brought to this screen, you have to log in with your FIU credentials. So whatever you use to log into your email, Canvas, use those credentials to log in as well. So I'll give you a moment to do that. Okay, everyone still with me? Were they able to log in and see this hello screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so when you're at that screen, there you see our you're struggling to scan it. Oh, okay, it's okay. So let's see. Yeah, so when you get to this hello screen, you're gonna click the button that says scan. So then you'll be prompted to allow access to your camera. So go ahead and allow access because that's how you're gonna be able to scan the QR code. If you try to scan this QR code without logging in first, it's not gonna work because that's how we record your Panther ID and all that good stuff. So make sure you go through this process in order to scan that QR code. And then also double check and make sure that your browser has access to your camera also. Sometimes you have to go to settings and toggle that on. Is there another way to sign in? Meaning like without your FIU credentials, Kyle? Yeah, the only way I know to sign in is via that portal with your FIU credentials. So yeah, so once you scan it, this QR code right here that's always changing, you should get like a little successful page and the timestamp when you checked in. So let me know if you guys are able to see it. Yeah, it might be working out a few things, maybe because so many people are trying to use it right now. Okay, great. Okay, we've got some people who got it. So awesome. So as I said, this is to help us track the engagement over time with our workshops. So this QR code, the reason our screen is set up this way is it's going to be visible in the corner throughout the entire time. So every now and again, I'll just remind you in the chat that you can just open it up and scan that QR code again. And so then we can see, you know, who's still here, etc. And then at the end, I'll remind you all to scan it one more time, and that'll be it. So thank you guys for participating and helping us with this. This is something, like I said, that our IT Spark Dev team is working on, and they've been working very hard on this. So yeah, we're excited to see how it works. So that's the check-in portion. And I'll go ahead and give it over to John, who's going to start our workshop today. So thank you guys for coming.
All right. Yeah, thank you everyone for testing this. I just want to say that again. This is the first time we're doing this for the Spark Dev team. So I'm hoping it'll work. And by the way, make sure you keep checking yourself in like throughout like the course of this presentation as well, because they want to like check for engagement. but yeah, now that's out of the way, let's get started. So before we start talking about Wireshark, we're gonna start talking about protocols, and mainly the OSI model for protocols. So here we're seeing the OSI model for general protocols. There are about 7 layers, from 1 to 7. It goes from physical, which is the access to media; data link, number 2, that's local network to host delivery. The third would be just general network, which is routing to the destination. Transport would be delivery and sequencing. Session would be like the establishing of the connection, followed by the encryption and formatting and data generation. So basically, this model is showing off a sort of like way of like delivering information across the internet and through this way. There's, by the way, these models 1 through 7, they interact with each other via vertical and horizontal communication, and that basically means that it defines the information and services that each layer provides to the layer above it. And also, each layer contains its own group of functions, and each function receives an input and produces an output. So if we go on to the next part, we're going to talk about more about this OSI. So the history of OSI, essentially, there's there's a need for standardization within the industry because there are many users that are trying to connect with one another, but there's very little interoperability, so they're unable to connect to one another efficiently, and there's no common framework for that. And so ISO and CCITT came up with this model in 1984, the OSI model, which is essentially a standard amongst all communication systems, which allows them to communicate with one another essentially between different types of like logic and underlying hardware and software. So if we continue, we can talk about the 4 basic types of protocols based on this model. So 4 basic types, which we're going to be covering during this demo, are going to be transmission control protocol, or TCP. This one should be one that's very familiar to a lot of people. This essentially provides a stream-based connection oriented transfer of data of the TCP/IP family, which, by the way, IP stands for Internet Protocol. That's also why it's called an IP address, because you would be sending information to one another via addresses. So we have the user datagram protocol, or UDP, and this provides a datagram based connectionless transport layer, which is essentially, if we go back before, it was layer 4, and that's type of functionality to the TCP IP family. And HTTP is the most common one that you would definitely be familiar with. It is on every single website you interact with. It stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's basically used to request and serve web content on the internet. And then finally, we have Internet Control Message Protocol, which is basically how the Internet Protocol itself uses this to transfer control messages between different hosts. And now, onto the meat of this presentation, we have Wireshark. Wireshark is a free and open source packet analyzer, or commonly known as a packet sniffer. And what this means is that this application is used to capture packet data. Handshake protocol, exactly. This is used to capture packet data and allows you to examine packets in great detail. So essentially, imagine this as a device that's used to measure what's inside a network cable. This is very, very similar to if you're anyone who's taken physics, on different like currents, there'll be something called a voltmeter. Oh, by the way, I apologize. There's some construction going on inside my house, so you might hear some drills here and there. But mainly, this is similar to using a voltmeter to measure the voltage along a current. And this application is used for network troubleshooting, protocol debugging, and learning about networking. And that's actually based on the history, because it was originally called Ethereal, and it was created by Gerald Combs. And Gerald Combs created this application to learn more about networking and to troubleshoot problems within his system. And so he designed Ethereal to basically be that application to do that thing. But over time, there would be other users that would come along and would try to interact with Ethereal for their own purposes. And when they found out that Ethereal was unable to do it, they also found out that it was easily able to implement all these things they wanted to do. So it received multiple feature contributions from different users throughout the years, and all those users that came to contribute to Ethereal basically came together. They formed a team in 2006, and because of legal issues with the copyright of the name, they changed their name to Wireshark. So before we go to the demo, we need to talk about packets themselves, because I mentioned before that Wireshark scans packets. And so the way it scans packets is based on any local network, whether it's Ethernet, Bluetooth, or wireless. It will basically capture those packets that are basically moving amongst one another when they're sending messages back and forth. So any packet traffic within that network will be pinged for analysis in the application. And if we go to the next slide, we're going to be talking a little bit more about HTTP. As I mentioned before, it's hypertext transfer protocol. It's built on top of TCP and Internet Protocol protocols, and it's basically, as I said before, distributing data across the internet to communicate with other systems. And the packets that we keep mentioning over and over again, these are basically the messages that are being sent through the protocol. This little image I found here is essentially like all these different hosts on different websites or different computers, and they're all connected to the servers. And those little red boxes are essentially the visualization of packets being sent to one another via the servers and the systems. And so what Wireshark does is that essentially it accesses the messages sent through this protocol on a local network, and it displays the data and information for you. And with that being said, let's begin with our demo. I'll take it over to Alejandro.
All right, guys, we're gonna do a Wireshark demo right now. Thank you, John. Does everyone have Wireshark installed on their computer? It can be Mac, Windows, Linux. For this sake, we'll do Mac. Yep. Okay, yes. That's one. Or on virtual machine. Okay, that's fine. You can do that as well. Not yet. The rest of you, the rest of 40 of you, do you guys have it? Is there a file I need to download? Not really. We just need to use Wireshark. Give it like 30 seconds before I start opening up Wireshark. You can use it on either or. I'm using it on my regular system currently. Okay, let's start. So why would we open a Wireshark? Not only Wireshark is very popular and used in multiple ways, not only it's simple, but we can scan what's going on in your network. So let's open up Wireshark right now. So you see here, just all the interfaces on your system currently. So for my sake, I'm on Wi-Fi. So if you're on Ethernet, if you're on Wi-Fi, you're gonna see these squiggly lines happen. So on Windows, a little bit easier. It just takes it down to Ethernet or your Wi-Fi card, goes to your network interfaces. So for this sake, we're gonna click on Wi-Fi, or if you're on Ethernet, via LAN, you're gonna click on the Ethernet. So we're just gonna click on this blue button. And what's doing right now, as you see, you notice all this information pop up. All the information is currently happening on your network in real time. So this can be on your local computer. This can be on another one's computer on your network. It will keep scanning until you stop it. So right now it's just going real time. Or give it like 30 more seconds. Okay, so stop it is this red little circle here. So click on that to stop real-time scanning. So you see here, you have a bunch of information you probably noticed and a bunch of colors. So we see blue, yellow, black, purple, a bunch of colors. So some of you know what that does not mean. So what we're gonna do is click on view and coloring rules. So this is gonna show you what each color means. So for example, we have the bad TCP, and then we have the main ones we're going to look at right now is TCP in a light purple, UDP in a light blue, HTTP in a green. So that's what we're going to look for again. So these are all your color rules. You can also change them, but as default, I never played around with this. So is it possible to move QR code up a little bit? Yeah, here you go. I got it for you. All right. So once we go over the codes, let's do this. So you see the time here. So each number is how much packets were scanned. So it just goes in order, and the time was captured by your network. So preferably, a lot of people, including me that I work with Wireshark with, like to have their time as one at a time locally. So local time, so date and time. So for example, this is milliseconds here. So to change the time to your preference, what we're gonna do is view, time display format, and see seconds beginning of capture. I like to have it on the third option, time of day, or one of these two. So we have this, it tells you the time of day and 24-hour time. So you see here, we have all these rows as well. We have the number of what packet was by order, the time it was captured. Our source IP address can be our computer or another network IP address. So it can be your printer, your laptop, or another website that's trying to access your network. That's your source, your destination, where it's heading to, the protocol. So it's going to be TCP, UDP, HTTP, or ICMP or more. The length of the packets, and then the info. So let's go more in depth and let's look at a packet. Let's look at a UDP one. So you see when you click on one, you see this information in the middle. Let's discard the bottom code down here. So you see here, we see our frame, our Ethernet, our IP version, our user data, UDP, and data. So the source part is a temporary port on your computer for communication. So that's like a website. So basically, it's all your information. This information will vary on what protocol you're on. So TCP will be different. TCP will have your TCP request version, but this will have your UDP down here. All right, so now let's look at how Wireshark can detect you just surfing on the internet. So when you're on an internet browser and you go through, for example, upefiu.io, your network is basically, your computer is basically sending the network to go to that destination. So Wireshark detects multiple around systems and websites. So for this little mini game, I can say mini game, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up a web browser. But first, before we open up a web browser, we're gonna let this run again. So in order for it to run again in real time, we're gonna click on this blue little Wireshark logo. And for this sake, we're gonna continue without saving. So we're gonna let it run here. What we're gonna do now is actually open up any browser you choose. So when we have a browser open, let's go to fiu.edu. So when we're successfully on, of course it's not loading anymore, we're gonna leave it running in the background. Give it about 10 more seconds to detect. And who can tell me what protocol are we going to look for to find the information of our network and capturing us going to that website? Correct, HTTP. Yeah, you're fast. All right, so what we're gonna do after we connect to that website is we're gonna stop with this red square. And then when we do that, the problem is here now is where we're gonna find the HTTP protocol. Because I don't want to personally scroll down and try to find it or filter it by A through Z. So this is where Wireshark comes in really handy, as right here in this little address bar above your information, the display filter. So here we're gonna type in HTTP. Okay, let me try that again. It's happened to me a couple of times. Sometimes it's happened when I was doing this before on my Windows. It actually worked on Windows more than Mac. So give me one second. Let's open up another website here. There you go. All right. So something that glitches out, something that doesn't. So I'm going to stop capturing. So as you can see here, our source IP is going to be my computer. So your source IP can be different. On Mac, right now, my terminal is not working for some reason. But to find out your source IP, basically go to the Apple here, System Preferences, Network, and then it's going to show your IP right here. So see, it matches right here, my source IP, 192.168.1.32. On Windows, you go to your command prompt and do the basic IP config, and you can find it on your IPv4 address. All right, now you find your source IP. So what we can see here is the way to look at it, a little cheat sheet, is to find if you're connected to a website, is the info says get HTTP. So when we click on that, as you can see, so we see all this information, the same information you see on all the other protocols, but it does have the TCP and HTTP protocol here. So when we click on the HTTP, it does show you the host name. So the host name is upefiu.io. So basically Wireshark tells you what websites are you going on. Sometimes it can be a little bit glitchy. Every single network's different and ISP is different. So for example, I have Xfinity. I know I had a bunch of problems with them recently, and depending on the computer, what network interfaces you have. But it should detect a lot of your websites if you have them running in the background. So you see your upefiu.io, and also tells you what OS you're running and what browser you're running. So for example, I'm on Mac, so it tells Mac. And then of course, I'm gonna be on a Chromium browser. I'm on Brave. Brave is a Chromium browser-based browser. Yes, Xfinity is always messing up. Trust me. Okay, so it's a pretty fun way. So I believe, I know I did the demo before, I just didn't have a screenshot for it, that had multiple websites running and also other networks. So I had for example, another laptop running on a website and it worked. But for this, it's just showing that protocol on my computer. It should be showing the FIU one, but it's only showing the UPE FIU. That's one way to show what website you're currently running. So if you're wondering, besides the websites, so let's say here, so let's use the IP address of your system. You want to know what's going on your system and what your system is sending through other destinations. So pretty simple. What I would like to do is just right click on your source IP address. And then we're going to go to apply as filter and click selected. So you see here, the address bar is going to change to ip.src equals your source IP address, which should be your computer IP address. And you can see all the information it's sending through destinations or programs or websites. So see all this information. It's a good way to determine what's going on your software. So so now we're gonna do another mini game, something a little bit more complicated. It might not work. It might work because of Mac OS and Wireshark, the new version of Wireshark. I know with the older version of Wireshark, this works a little bit better. So I cannot show you the malicious activity that's going on in my system because currently I'm not getting DOSed. If I'm getting DOSed, then I'll be lagging right now and I won't see you guys. I did, for a fact, when I was getting DOSed playing a video game, I was open at Wireshark and I found the malware activity, but I could not at this time because I'm not getting DOSed. But so let's say, for example, what Wireshark can't do, but you can do on your source is let's say you're on your computer and you really like for the example, let's say you have a program running, say Discord or Brave or Chrome. What is getting DOSed? Like the denial server is basically sending a lot of packets to your router. That's how to explain it, or that. Yeah, basically what I say, just basically sending a lot of packets to another person's router and just basically overthrowing that router, and then you're just getting like lag spikes. You can't even connect to the internet. If you're a gamer, then your ping is super high and you're just getting constantly spiked unless you got to unplug your router and then get a new dynamic IP. That's basically getting DOSed to me. It's like I got in so many times through a lot of video games. So for this example, I can't show you malware activity, but I can show you how to end a process from if it's a malware activity or not. So what we're gonna do here is, give me 1 second. On Mac, so on Mac, let's go on your terminal, and on Windows, go on your CMD. So when you're on a terminal, so briefly I'll explain it again, and I can't actually see what's going on. I can actually see what's going on in that port. So my default port will be 443. It should be for multiple of you. 443 should be your default port. Well, that is my default port, for example. And I can find different process IDs and I can go kill those processes. That can be a malware software. So what we're gonna do here on Mac is for Mac to check your port for 443 is sudo lsof, the little dash, I semicolon 443, click enter, and then you enter your password. For Windows, it's gonna be netstat, so NETSTAT space dash. Well, I'll type it in right here for you, but I can't enter, it won't work. So netstat dash AON, little tube pipe thingy, and find, and then parentheses, quotes 443, and then close it again, and then enter. So it should find all connections established on your port 443. Okay. So you can see here, I have a bunch of processes open right now on my computer because I have a lot of programs open. Can you repeat Mac? Yes. I'll type it in right here. So sudo lsof -i semicolon 443. And when you click enter, you should get a prompt for your password. And once successfully prompted, you will see all the connections established with your port 443 on your computer. All right. So you see here, you have the command, what's running right now. So I have Brave, Discord running, Spotify, and Zoom, of course. A PEID, which is very important, we're gonna go over right now. The user, who's logged in, which is me. And then the type of IPv4, this basic all information, but the main thing we're gonna focus on here is the PID. So for Mac, we're gonna go on the program called Activity Monitor, which is already built into your Mac. Okay, and on Windows, it's going to be on the task manager. When you go on the task manager, click on details, and then on the row, you're gonna look for PID and you can find it there. I know on Windows is more complicated for some reason, but on Mac, it actually helps out better. So you can see here, I have multiple PIDs here that's running. I have a bunch. So the way to find which programs are running, so let's say for example, I have like a malware running like keylogger.exe. Let's just use that discord.exe because it's easier. If it's like I don't have a keylogger. If I have a keylogger, then I have a malware in my computer. But for any case of a malware, for the sake of this purpose, I have Discord. So you can see here, Discord has a process ID of 12089. So what we're gonna do here, Discord is a virus, I agree. It's just like Reddit, to be honest. Okay, so it's easier on Mac. I found the Activity Monitor to find the PID because Windows had a lot more processes. Yet again, that's why Mac is good, but also I love Windows. So for Discord, we have it here. It says 12082. Normally, sometimes it won't match. It's like a little letters off. I know Discord helper is a PID. I had a couple of instances where it did not match the PID, but when it's close, it'll close. It'll close the program. So right now I have here, which is the Discord program. And when you see it kind of matches it or it's a little bit lower, we're gonna go ahead and close that process. We're gonna force quit it. See, when we force quit it, it's gonna be gone. My program is not running anymore, and it's gone. See, click Discord now, it's not there anymore. And then when we run this, when we run this command one more time, it should not show anymore. You can't see it anymore here. It's just Brave, Zoom. So you can do this with Zoom as well. If I close Zoom, Chrome is a virus. That's why I use Brave. Not advertising, I'm not sponsored. Brave is really the best browser out there. See, for Brave, we have a bunch as well. So we got 2834, you see 212, 8044. You know, it's almost similar. I found that if it's close to that same number, it's gonna be that right process. I know these numbers are for the helpers, but the main program here is the Brave browser. If you just close these, it won't do anything. This will only close the program. If I do close Brave, I don't have the PowerPoint anymore, so I can't close it for you. So why is this useful? Even though it's not really in Wireshark, it's basically something that Wireshark cannot do, I believe, from my research. And it's something that you can do basically on your terminal or your command prompt if you have like a malware running And you can and then also when that malware is running, if it's a network software, technically like the keylogger sending packets to like a database, it will show up in your Wireshark. But for this instance, I can't. If I was on a virtual machine on Windows, I would have. But for this sake, it has to be on Mac. So I think that's all I covered. This Wireshark workshop was for beginners. So this we went over like the beginner how to send packets, how to receive packets, the basic definition of TCP, UDP, ICMP, and how to remove a process if there's a malware in your computer or any sort of process. All right. John, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I was just waiting for you. Thank you. Anyways, that was the end of the presentation. A couple of links to throw out. This is our website, upefiu.io. If you want to contact us via email, upefiu. I have a question. Ask away. Yes, this is recorded. I think I see it right now on the top left is like a recording feature. It says here, how to scan password in the HTTP. That's for you, Alejandro.
Tough question. I honestly don't know my answer, to be honest with you. I'm like beginner, intermediate. If someone else is more experienced than me can answer that question, that's fine. I can get back to you. Just message me on Discord and I can do any research on that. But I didn't really do that yet.
So someone here asked for a copy sent. So if you're talking about like the recording, I believe it will be sent somewhere within the.
It'll be on
Discord
YouTube,
channel.
right?
Yeah, on YouTube as well. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it'll be somewhere on YouTube, or if you're on the Discord, it'll be like recommended on there.
What do you mean I'm still unable to scan the code through the website? Do you mean like Wireshark detecting the website? Oh, that.
I think the QR code, yeah.
Here, let me put it in the middle. I know people hide it in this angle. That's not a good angle, so let me put it here in the middle.
Yeah, it's still pretty hard to capture it.
Yeah, I can't make it bigger, unfortunately. This program won't let me resize it. Sorry about that.
It seems that when you go to scan, you have to hit, there should be a little bar at the bottom of the window. You have to tap that. If you have it scanning hovered over the QR code, at least for me, it didn't work until I hit that little bar at the bottom.
Andy, was that able to solve it, or you're still having trouble?
Is it giving you an error when it scans, or it just won't scan on your camera as a QR code? It just won't scan for me. Have you guys done it in an angle? The URL was not found. Let me scan with you guys one more time.
Yeah, I'll try with y'all.
Yeah, John, do you mind going back to that slide with the screenshots?
Here, I got it. Yeah, try to use your, it works on all, sorry to cut you off, but it works on all browsers, I'm pretty sure. I use Brave on my mobile, iOS, and it worked, but try using your default browser on your Android or iOS. Go ahead, Lily.
No, you're good. I was going to say that same exact thing. So yeah, make sure you're doing it on mobile. I know somebody said if they kind of changed the angle of their screen a little bit, that helps. Maybe there's like a glare or something
Team
like
brave,
that.
Yusuf. So a bit feedback on the user side of here. Web app does not let the user see scans after 3. Something to note for the IT Spark Dev department.
Okay, yeah, thank you guys for this feedback because this is going to help them like improve it. So
here, let me, I put in the middle of the screen. See if that helps. Oh, it goes to the timestamp. I think you already scanned it though, if it goes to the timestamps, right? Or no? Yeah, I think once you scan successfully to start, I know I had that issue where when I scanned the second time, I just got the timestamp where, okay, now it's saying not found when I do my, yeah, bro, you're good. That timestamp meaning you already checked in, probably check in again. Colin, previously this workshop was going to be on Windows, but for last second decisions, it was on Mac. What I did here was done on Windows. I wish I had screenshots because this is normally should be done on Windows. But if you want, we can get on a Discord call, or I'll give you my email down here, my FIU email, and then we can go over it. If you move it in the white space of the slide scans off. Like right here.
So for those of you all who weren't able to scan, is that working a little better now?
Do we have a IT Spark Dev team member here that can check the database if like around 40 people scan the thing? See if like people are getting it, there's not typing in chat. So it was the background.
Okay, so it's looking like the scan limit is 3 times.
Yeah, I said a lot of them. Andres, did you first log into here.fau.edu? Did you first log into here.fiu.edu first? It's in the screen right here in the first, okay. That's strange. That's game but nothing updates.
Yeah, I'm dealing with the same thing that Andres is dealing with.
Yeah.
Like I was just checking it, and like I just scanned it instead of
All
showing
right,
me
thanks, Yusuf.
yellow.
Yeah, I want to see if someone from the IT team can see the database, if we can verify if you guys already are logged in or stamped in. Also in beta, so of course this feedback is where it helps the IT team as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you guys are like still struggling with it, like don't worry about it. This is still being tested on.
For sure, yeah. For those who are able to successfully scan and log in, that's really all we need from you. We really appreciate you for making it out to our workshop today. And like we said, it's recorded and it will be posted soon. So make sure you're on our Discord server to see when that's posted. And of course, our social media handles as well is what we'll post upcoming events before the semester is over.
Thank you guys for coming.